I started my record company in 1982, Exhibit 1 Records, publishing company Exhibit Music at the same time. I wanted to release my own stuff on my own label. I didn't really see the point in signing contracts where you're just restricting yourself and you have to wait for other people to make decisions on releases, etc., etc. And they don't ever give you any sort of promotion, funding or anything like that. So, writing the songs, producing the songs was relatively easy for me to do, but actually selling them is a different situation altogether. So I had to have distribution deals. The first one being Pinnacle. They had the first 2 singles off me and sold reasonably well, but when it came to paying me any money, they didn't want to do it, and waited about 6 months for about 1/3 of the money, and then when they were about to pay the rest, they went into liquidation. And so I lost all the records and all the money, and which wasn't a great deal of money. I mean, we were talking about £300 or £400, which at the time, you know, was enough to do another release. So after that, I went with Rough Trade, which has quite a good name for independent labels, and in itself was an independent company. And they had a subsidiary company called The Cartel, which operated in Warwickshire, I think Leamington. And so the albums were distributed by them, but they also didn't like paying out. So initially when it was released, you know, there was a lot of sales. But then I can remember the guy, when I asked about when I was going to get paid, he said, oh, we've got to keep some of the money back in case we get any returns. So sort of, oh, I don't like it anymore. Can I swap it back, please? And I mean money back. But they were a little bit better, but it was still almost impossible to get the money out of them back. So this was the problem I had, and this went on and on. So in the end, I kind of gave up. And don't forget, there's not any internet or anything like that, so you couldn't just, nobody could hear your music. The reason, but they did me a favour, and the favour was, I didn't find this out until about 6, 7 years ago. Because I was an unknown, my records were shipped abroad into Europe. They didn't even try to sell them in the UK. At that time, you'd got, you know, Duran Duran, Soft Cell, bigger names like that. So they exported them all, and they all went around Europe, France, Spain, everywhere. I didn't realise this until much later, like I said, about 5, 6 years ago, I found that out. But they planted the seeds of my music in Europe, which people got to find out about, and that's why I am more known in Europe than in Britain, which is great.